The red lights flashed across the medical station like angry eyes in the darkness. Dr. Hyanwu was drinking his morning coffee when the emergency alarm started screaming through every speaker in the building. He had been working on this space station for 2 years now, but he had never heard the alarm sound this urgent before. His coffee mug crashed to the floor as he jumped up from his desk. The hot liquid splashed across his white coat, but he did not care. Something big was happening, and every doctor on the station was needed right away. He grabbed his emergency medical kit from the wall and ran toward the main corridor. Other doctors were already rushing through the hallways. Dr. Hyanwu could see the tall, blue-skinned veterinary doctors moving quickly on their long legs. The small green Kiptor doctors were flying through the air using their wing-like arms. Even the slow-moving rock people called Sithkari were moving faster than he had ever seen them move before. Dr. Vextol, the chief medical officer, was standing in the main corridor shouting orders to everyone. His 8 purple tentacles were waving in all directions as he spoke. His voice was coming through the translation device that all the alien doctors wore so they could understand each other. Nobody. Stop running until you reach the emergency landing bay. We have a code red situation. The most dangerous creature in this sector of space has been brought to our station. It is badly injured but still very much alive. All doctors must come to help, but nobody should get too close to the patient. Dr. Hyanwu felt his heart beating faster as he ran with the other doctors toward the landing bay. He had treated many dangerous animals back on Earth when he was working as a veterinarian. Lions and tigers and bears had all been his patients at one time or another. But the way Dr. Vextol was talking made this sound much worse than anything he had ever seen before. When they reached the landing bay, Dr. Hyanwu stopped running and his mouth fell open. Lying on the metal platform in the center of the room was the biggest creature he had ever seen in his life. It was easily 3 times larger than the biggest elephant he had ever worked with back on Earth. Its body was covered in sharp spines that looked like they could cut through steel. Dark blue blood was pooling under its massive form and spreading across the floor. The creature was called a thornback, and Dr. Hyanwu had only seen pictures of them in his alien biology textbooks. They were supposed to be the most feared predator on 7 different planets. The book said that no intelligent species had ever successfully captured one alive before, yet here one was lying unconscious right in front of them. Dr. Vextol was standing as far away from the creature as possible while still being able to see it clearly. His tentacles were shaking and his skin had turned from purple to a pale gray color. This was a sign that he was very scared. Listen to me very carefully, everyone. This thornback has killed 17 different beings in the past month alone. Its spines can shoot out of its body like arrows, and they can pierce through the strongest armor we have. Even when it appears to be unconscious, its body can still react to threats and attack without warning. Dr. Minsu, a young veterinary doctor, raised one of his forearms to ask a question. But sir, if it is so dangerous, why did someone bring it to our medical station? Should we not call the military to take it away? Dr. Vextol shook his head, making his tentacles wave back and forth. The creature is dying, and we are the only medical facility in this part of space that has the equipment needed to save its life. The beings who brought it here paid a very large amount of money for us to help it, but I do not know how we can treat it without getting killed ourselves. All the doctors began talking at once, in their different languages. Some were saying they should refuse to help such a dangerous patient. Others were saying they should use robot arms to do the surgery from far away. A few were suggesting they should put the creature in a much deeper sleep before trying to help it. Dr. Hyanwu was not listening to any of these conversations. He was studying the thornback carefully. With his trained eyes, he could see that its breathing was very shallow and fast. Its massive chest was rising and falling too quickly. The creature was not getting enough oxygen into its lungs. He pulled out his medical scanner and pointed it at the creature from where he was standing. The readings showed that the thornback heart was beating much too fast. Its blood pressure, that was dropping to dangerous levels. If they did not help it soon, it would die within the next hour. But there was something else that Dr. Hyanwu noticed that the other doctors had missed. Even though the creature was unconscious, its eyes were moving back and forth under its closed eyelids. This was not normal for a creature that was supposed to be in a deep medical sleep. Dr. Hyanwu had seen this same behavior many times before in scared animals back on Earth. When a wild animal was hurt and surrounded by creatures it did not trust, its body would stay alert even when it was too weak to move. The thornback was not just injured, it was terrified. We need to start treating it right now, Dr. Hyanwu said, stepping forward toward the creature. The other doctors gasped and moved backward. Several of them shouted warnings at him to stay away. Dr. Vextol extended all 8 of his tentacles toward Dr. Hyanwu as if trying to grab him and pull him back to safety. Are you insane, human? That creature will kill you the moment you get close enough. We must find another way to help it that does not require anyone to go near it. But Dr. Hyanwu was already walking slowly toward the thornback. His movements were calm and steady. He was not rushing or making any sudden motions that might startle the creature. This was exactly how he had approached every dangerous animal he had ever treated. Look at its eyes, he said quietly to the other doctors. Even though you cannot see them right now because they are closed, I can tell from my scanner that they are moving around very quickly. Its breathing is fast and shallow. Its heart rate is much higher than it should be for a creature this size. The human doctor was now standing just a few feet away from the massive creature. The other doctors were pressed against the walls of the landing bay as far from the Thornback as they could get. They were sure they were about to watch Dr. Hyanwu get killed by the most dangerous predator in known space. "This is not aggression," Dr. Hyanwu said softly as he knelt down next to the creature's enormous head. "This is fear." Dr. Hyanwu knelt beside the massive Thornback, and the entire medical bay fell silent. Every alien doctor was holding their breath, waiting for the creature to suddenly wake up and attack the human. But instead of violence, something strange happened. The sharp spines on the creature's back, which had been standing up like deadly needles, slowly began to flatten against its body. "This is impossible," whispered Dr. Vextall from across the room. His purple tentacles were still shaking with fear. "According to every report, we have the Thornback spines stay raised whenever any intelligent being comes near them. They are supposed to shoot out like arrows if anything gets too close." Dr. Hyanwu did not look away from the creature as he spoke. He kept his voice very quiet and calm. "On my home planet Earth, I worked with many apex predators. These are animals that sit at the top of the food chain and can kill almost anything they meet. Tigers that weigh over 600 pounds, grizzly bears that can crush a car with their paws, venomous snakes whose bite can kill in minutes." He slowly reached into his medical kit and pulled out a more advanced scanner. The device hummed quietly as it examined the Thornback's vital signs. "But I learned something very important during all those years of treating dangerous animals. Even the strongest and most deadly creatures in the universe all share the same basic emotions. They feel hunger when they need food, they feel pain when they are hurt, and they feel fear when they think they are in danger." Dr. Minsu, the young Valnari doctor, was pressed against the far wall, but he was listening carefully to every word. "What Dr. Hyanwu, the reports say that Thornbacks are mindless killing machines. Last month, one of them destroyed an entire research facility on Kepler 7. It killed 30 researchers and soldiers who were trying to study it." The human doctor looked up from his scanner with sadness in his eyes. "That is exactly my point, Dr. Minsu. Tell me what happened at that research facility. Were the researchers trying to help the Thornback, or were they trying to capture it and study it like a laboratory animal?" The young alien doctor thought for a moment. While they had built a containment facility to hold the creature, they were using energy weapons to keep it under control. They had placed restraining devices around its legs and neck so it could not move freely. Dr. Hyanwu nodded and turned his attention back to the creature. "So the Thornback was trapped in a cage surrounded by beings who were pointing weapons at it and preventing it from moving. How do you think that made it feel? Do you think it felt safe and comfortable, or do you think it felt scared and desperate?" The alien doctors began to murmur among themselves in their different languages. They had never thought about the situation from the creature's point of view before. They had only focused on the danger it represented to them. "Look here," Dr. Hyanwu said, pointing his scanner at a spot on the Thornback side. The other doctors could see the readings on a large display screen mounted on the wall. "These are old burn marks from energy weapons, and here are scars from metal restraints that cut into its skin. This creature has been hunted, captured, and experimented on many times before." Dr. Sujin, a human researcher who worked in the station's biology department, had been quietly watching from the doorway. She stepped forward holding her own scanning device. "I have been monitoring the Thornback's brain activity, Dr. Hyanwu. The patterns show that it is experiencing what we would call post-traumatic stress in humans. Its mind is stuck in a constant state of fight or flight response." The massive creature shifted slightly on the platform and several alien doctors jumped backward in fear. But Dr. Hyanwu remained calm and steady beside its head. He had noticed something that the others had missed. "See how its breathing has become slower and more regular since I started talking to it. Its heart rate is dropping to more normal levels. The creature can hear us and it can sense that we are not trying to hurt it." Dr. Vextall slowly moved a few steps closer, but he was still keeping a safe distance. "How can you be so sure that it will not attack when it wakes up? These creatures, who have killed hundreds of beings over the years, their reputation for violence is well documented." "Because," Dr. Hyanwu said gently as he continued his examination, "every single one of those attacks happened when the Thornback felt threatened or cornered. Think about it this way. If you were a creature that had been hurt and captured many times before and you suddenly found yourself surrounded by strange beings, what would you do?" The alien doctors considered this question carefully. They realized that they would probably try to fight their way to freedom as well. Dr. Minji, another human who worked as a trauma specialist, had arrived and was setting up additional medical equipment. She had treated many injured animals alongside Dr. Hyanwu before they came to work at the space station. In veterinary medicine we have a saying, "The most dangerous animal is often the most frightened animal." When a creature is in pain and scared, it will do whatever it takes to protect itself. The scanning equipment revealed more disturbing information about the Thornback's condition. There was a massive infected wound hidden beneath the spines on its right side. The infection had been spreading through its body for weeks, causing constant pain and affecting its ability to think clearly. "This explains everything," Dr. Hyanwu said as he studied the scan results. The creature has been living with severe pain for a very long time. When animals are in constant pain, they become aggressive because they expect everything to hurt them more. They attack first because they have learned that waiting means more suffering. Dr. Sujin was monitoring the creature's brainwaves and she looked surprised by what she was seeing. The neural activity is changing, Dr. Hanwu. The stress hormones in its system are decreasing. Its brain patterns are shifting from a fear response to something that looks more like curiosity. The thornback made a very quiet sound, almost like a sigh. Its massive body relaxed further and the deadly spines on its back became completely flat. For the first time since it had arrived at the medical station, the creature looked peaceful instead of dangerous. Now we can help it, Dr. Hyenwu said, standing up slowly. But we need to work quickly. The infection is spreading, and if we do not treat it soon, the creature will die. And I will need all of you to help me save its life. Dr. Hyenwu and Dr. Minji began preparing for the most dangerous surgery that had ever been attempted on the medical station. The massive thornback lay quietly on the platform, but everyone knew that could change in an instant if something went wrong during the operation. The creature was still conscious enough to react if it felt threatened or experienced too much pain. We need to set up a sterile field around the surgical site, Dr. Minji said as she arranged the medical instruments on a portable table. But we also need to make sure we can move away quickly if the patient becomes aggressive during the procedure. The alien doctors were watching from the far side of the medical bay. Most of them had never seen surgery performed on such a dangerous creature before. Dr. Vextor was monitoring the creature's vital signs from his safe position across the room. His tentacles were still twitching with nervousness, but his scientific curiosity was starting to overcome his fear. Dr. Hyenwu, this is completely against all medical safety protocols, Dr. Vextor called out. We should sedate the creature much more heavily before attempting any surgical procedures. Or we should use robotic surgical arms that can be controlled from another room. The human doctor was carefully cleaning the area around the infected wound. He moved slowly and gently so he would not startle the thornback. If we give it more sedatives, we might kill it, Dr. Vextor. Its body is already fighting a severe infection, and additional drugs could cause its organs to shut down. And robotic arms cannot make the careful adjustments that this surgery will require. Dr. Sujin was monitoring the creature's brain activity from her position near the door. She had set up several screens that showed the thornback's neural patterns in real time. The readings are remarkable, Dr. Hyenwu. I can see that the creature is aware of what we are doing, but its stress levels are remaining stable. It seems to understand that we are trying to help it. Dr. Minji activated the surgical laser and began cutting away the infected tissue. The thornback tensed slightly and a few of its spines twitched upward. Every alien doctor in the room jumped backward, and several of them ran toward the exit doors. But Dr. Hyenwu remained calm and placed his hand gently near the creature's head. Easy there, big fellow, he said in a soothing voice. I know this hurts, but we are going to make you feel better. Just stay calm and let us work. The amazing thing was that the thornback seemed to understand his words even though they were speaking different languages. The creature's spines slowly flattened back down and its breathing became more regular. Dr. Minji continued the surgery while Dr. Hyenwu kept talking quietly to their patient. You know, when I was working with tigers back on Earth, Dr. Hyenwu said as he monitored the creature's responses, I learned that they could sense my emotions just as much as I could sense theirs. If I was afraid, they would become afraid. If I was calm, they would stay calm. Animals are much more sensitive to emotional energy than most people realize. Dr. Kongho, a young human medical student, had been watching the surgery from the observation deck above the medical bay. He came down to get a closer look at what was happening. This was the first time he had seen Dr. Hyenwu work with such a dangerous patient, and he was amazed by how calm and confident the older doctor appeared. Dr. Hyenwu, how did you learn to stay so relaxed when working with deadly predators? Kongho asked. I would be terrified if I had to get this close to a creature that could kill me in seconds. The experienced veterinarian smiled as he helped Dr. Minji suture the surgical site. Fear is natural, Kongho, and it can help keep us safe in dangerous situations, but fear can also make us act in ways that create more danger. When we panic, we make sudden movements and loud noises that can startle an already scared animal. The key is to acknowledge the fear, but not let it control your actions. The surgery was taking longer than expected because the infection had spread deeper into the thornback's body than the initial scans had shown. Dr. Minji had to remove several pounds of damaged tissue and clean out pockets of infection that had formed near vital organs. The creature remained remarkably still throughout the entire procedure. This is incredible, Dr. Vextal said as he watched the vital sign monitors. The patient's heart rate and blood pressure are actually improving during the surgery. I have never seen anything like this before. Usually creatures become more stressed when they are being operated on, not less stressed. Dr. Sujin looked up from her brain monitoring equipment. The neural patterns show that the thornback is actually entering a deeper state of relaxation. Its brain is producing chemicals that are similar to what humans call endorphins. These are natural pain relievers that the body makes when it feels safe and cared for. After 3 hours of careful work, Dr. Minji finally finished closing the surgical wound. The thornback had lost a lot of blood, but its vital signs were stronger than they had been when it first arrived at the medical station. The infection was completely gone and the creature was already beginning to heal. Dr. Hyanwu stepped back from the patient and stretched his tired muscles. That was the most challenging surgery I have ever performed, but also one of the most rewarding. This creature is going to make a full recovery. The alien doctors slowly began to move closer to see the results of the surgery. They were still nervous about getting too near the thornback, but their professional interest was overcoming their fear. Dr. Vextall extended one tentacle to point at the monitoring equipment. "Look at these readings," he said with wonder in his voice. "The creature's immune system is already responding to the treatment. Its white blood cell count is increasing and its body temperature is returning to normal levels." "How did you know that such an approach would work?" Dr. Hyanwu cleaned his hands and put away his surgical instruments. "Because I treated the thornback like a patient instead of like a monster. When we approach any living being with compassion and respect, they can sense our intentions. This creature has probably never experienced gentle medical care before in its entire life. Now we wait to see how it responds when it wakes up." 4 hours had passed since the surgery ended, and the entire medical station was holding its breath. The thornback had been resting peacefully, but now its vital signs showed that it was beginning to wake up from the anesthesia. This was the moment that everyone had been dreading. Would the creature remember the kindness it had been shown, or would it revert to its violent instincts when it regained consciousness? Dr. Hyanwu had not left the creature's side during the entire recovery period. He sat in a chair next to the platform reading medical journals but keeping one eye on his patient at all times. Dr. Minji and Dr. Sujin had also remained in the medical bay to monitor the thornback's condition as it healed from the surgery. The alien doctors had set up their monitoring equipment at the far end of the room. They wanted to observe what happened when the creature woke up, but they also wanted to be able to escape quickly if things went wrong. Dr. Vextall had even positioned security guards outside the medical bay just in case they needed to evacuate everyone in an emergency. "Look," Dr. Su said, pointing at her brain monitoring screens. "The neural activity is increasing rapidly. The creature is definitely waking up. It's moving from deep sleep into lighter sleep and then toward full consciousness." Dr. Hyanwu put down his medical journal and moved his chair a little closer to the thornback's head. "Remember everyone," he said quietly. "No sudden movements, no loud voices, and no running toward the exits. If we panic, the creature will panic, and that could be dangerous for everyone." The massive beast began to stir on the platform. Its huge muscles flexed and relaxed as feeling returned to its body. The thornback's breathing changed from the slow, deep breaths of sleep to the faster rhythm of an awakening mind. Its enormous eyelids fluttered as it struggled to focus on the world around it. Dr. Kongho, the medical student, was watching from the observation deck with several other staff members. He could see that the alien doctors below were all tensed and ready to run at the first sign of aggression. But the 3 human doctors remained calm and relaxed near the creature. The thornback's eyes opened slowly, and for a moment they seemed unfocused and confused. The creature tried to lift its head, but the effort made it dizzy from the anesthesia that was still in its system. It made a soft grunting sound and blinked several times as it tried to understand where it was and what that had happened to it. "Easy there, big fellow," Dr. Hyanwu said in the same gentle voice he had used during the surgery. "You have been sleeping for a while, but you are safe now. We fixed the infection that was making you sick, and you are going to feel much better soon." The thornback turned its massive head toward the sound of the human doctor's voice. Its amber-colored eyes were clear and alert now, and they focused directly on Dr. Hyanwu's face. For several long seconds, the two beings looked at each other in complete silence. Everyone in the medical bay was afraid to even breathe. Then something extraordinary happened that no one had expected. The thornback made a low rumbling sound deep in its chest. It was not the growl of an angry predator or the hiss of a threatened animal. It was a sound that Dr. Hyanwu recognized from his years of working with large animals on Earth. It was the sound that creatures made when they felt safe and content. The creature slowly extended its neck and moved its head closer to where Dr. Hyanwu was sitting. Its movements were careful and deliberate, not quick or aggressive. When its massive snout was just inches away from the human doctor, it stopped and waited. Dr. Hyanwu understood what the thornback was asking for. He slowly reached out his hand and gently touched the creature's snout. The skin was warm and surprisingly soft despite the deadly spines that covered the rest of its body. The thornback closed its eyes for a moment and made that rumbling sound again. "This is impossible," Dr. Vextall whispered from across the room. "According to every scientific report, we have no intelligent species has ever made peaceful physical contact with a thornback. They are supposed to attack anything that comes within striking distance of their heads." Dr. Mingji was taking video recordings of everything that was happening. "The medical community will never believe this unless we have proof," she said. "A thornback is actually allowing a being to touch it voluntarily. This goes against everything we thought we knew about their behavior." The creature was now fully awake and alert. It carefully pushed itself up into a sitting position on the platform. Its movements were slow and controlled, and it kept its deadly spines flat against its body. The Thornback looked around the medical bay, taking in all the strange sights and its smells, but it did not seem frightened or aggressive. Dr. Sujin was studying her brain monitoring equipment with amazement. The neural patterns are completely different from what we saw when the creature first arrived, she reported. The stress hormones are at normal levels. The fear response centers in its brain are quiet. This is the neural activity pattern of a calm and comfortable animal. Dr. Hyanwu stood up slowly and walked around to examine the surgical site. The wound was healing perfectly and there were no signs of infection or complications. The Thornback watched him move but did not tense up or prepare to defend itself. It seemed to understand that the human doctor was checking on its health. "How do you feel, big fellow?" Dr. Hyanwu asked as he gently touched the area around the healing wound. The creature made a soft chirping sound and nuzzled his hand with its snout. "I think that means you feel much better than you did before." The alien doctors were slowly beginning to move closer to get a better look at what was happening. They were still nervous, but their scientific curiosity was stronger than their fear. Dr. Vextal extended one tentacle toward the creature and was amazed when the Thornback looked at him without showing any signs of hostility. "Dr. Hyanwu, this changes everything we thought we knew about apex predators," Dr. Vextal said. "If Thornbacks can form peaceful relationships with other species, then we need to completely revise our understanding of their behavior and intelligence." The creature was now strong enough to stand up on its 4 massive legs. It rose to its full height, which was even more impressive than when it had been lying down unconscious. But instead of using its size to intimidate anyone, the Thornback simply stretched its muscles and looked around the room with what could only be described as curiosity. Dr. Hyanwu patted the creature's side affectionately. "You are going to be just fine," he said. "And I think you have taught all of us a very important lesson about not judging others by their reputation." 3 weeks after the successful surgery, word about the peaceful Thornback had spread throughout the entire galaxy. Medical stations, research facilities, and universities were all requesting copies of the video recordings that Dr. Minji had made during the creature's treatment. No one could believe that such a feared predator had actually formed a bond with its doctors. Dr. Hyanwu was in his office reviewing applications from alien medical students who wanted to learn his techniques for treating dangerous creatures. There were requests coming in from dozens of different species and star systems. Everyone wanted to understand how humans had managed to do something that was supposed to be impossible. The Thornback itself had become something of a celebrity on the medical station. It had been moved to a large, comfortable habitat where it could recover completely from its surgery. The creature spent most of its time resting and eating, but it would always become excited whenever Dr. Hyanwu came to visit for medical checkups. Dr. Vextal knocked on Dr. Hyanwu's office door and entered, carrying a stack of official-looking documents. "These are requests from the Galactic Medical Council," he said, setting the papers on the desk. "They want you to establish a new department here on the station dedicated to treating dangerous alien species. They are offering unlimited funding and resources." Dr. Hyanwu looked through the documents with interest. "This is quite an opportunity," he said, "but I would need help from other doctors who understand animal behavior and psychology. I cannot do this kind of work alone." "That is already being arranged," Dr. Vextal replied. "Dr. Minji and Dr. Sujin have both agreed to head up different sections of the new department. We are also bringing in veterinarians and animal behavior from Earth and several other planets. This will be the first interspecies veterinary program in galactic history." Meanwhile, in the research section of the station, other scientists were studying the implications of what had happened with the Thornback. Dr. Sujin was working with a team of xenobiologists to understand how fear and trauma affected the behavior of different alien species. They were discovering that many creatures that were considered monsters were actually just animals that had been hurt or frightened by previous encounters with other intelligent beings. Dr. Kongho, the medical student, had become Dr. Hyanwu's assistant and was helping to document all the new procedures they were developing. He was taking detailed notes about how to approach different types of dangerous creatures and what signs to look for that indicated fear versus aggression. Dr. Hyanwu, "The applications for the new program are incredible," Kongjo said as he organized files on his tablet. "We have requests to treat creatures that other species have been afraid of for centuries. There are reports of a giant crystal spider on Vega 4 that has been terrorizing mining colonies. And there is something called a shadow whale in the Andromeda sector that has been sinking ships for decades. Each case will be different." Dr. Hyanwu replied as he prepared for his daily visit to check on the Thornback. "But the basic principles should be the same. We need to approach each creature with respect and try to understand what might be causing its aggressive behavior. Fear, pain, and trauma are universal experiences that affect all living beings." When Dr. Hyanwu arrived at the Thornback's habitat, he found the creature waiting for him near the entrance. Over the past 3 weeks, they had developed a routine where the Thornback would allow him to examine the healing surgical site and check its overall health. But their relationship had grown beyond just doctor and patient. The massive creature made its rumbling sound of contentment when it saw the human doctor approaching. It lowered its head so that Dr. Hyanwu could reach the area where the infection had been removed. The wound had healed completely and the creature's health was better than it had been in years. "You look wonderful today," Dr. Hyanwu said as he ran his scanner over the thornback's body. "All your vital signs are perfect, and I think you have even gained some weight since you have been eating regularly and not fighting infections." The thornback nuzzled Dr. Hyanwu's shoulder gently with its snout. It had learned to be very careful with its strength so that it would not accidentally hurt its human friend. The creature had also learned to keep its spines completely flat whenever Dr. Hyanwu was nearby. Dr. Mingi entered the habitat carrying a report about the new veterinary program. "The first group of alien students will arrive next week," she said. "We have doctors coming from 12 different species, and they are all eager to learn human techniques for animal care. Some of them have been working with dangerous creatures for years, but they have never tried approaching them with compassion instead of force." The success with the thornback had proven that humans had a unique perspective on animal behavior that could be valuable throughout the galaxy. Where other species saw only danger and aggression, humans were able to recognize fear, pain, and the need for healing. This difference in viewpoint was opening up entirely new possibilities for interspecies cooperation. Dr. Vextal, who had been the most frightened during the original emergency, had become one of Dr. Hyanwu's most enthusiastic supporters. He often brought visitors to see the thornback and explain how human doctors had revolutionized their understanding of apex predators. "The most remarkable thing," Dr. Vextal would tell the visitors, "is that humans do not see other creatures as enemies to be defeated. They see them as patients who need help." This simple change in perspective has allowed them to accomplish things that we thought were impossible as the weeks passed. More and more dangerous creatures were brought to the medical station for treatment. Each case was unique, but the human doctors were able to apply their principles of compassion and understanding to help animals that other species had given up on. They treated everything from venomous flying reptiles to massive underground worms that had been terrorizing mining operations. The thornback became the station's unofficial mascot and a symbol of what could be accomplished when beings chose understanding over fear. Visitors from across the galaxy would come to see the creature that had changed everything they thought they knew about apex predators. Dr. Hyanwu would often sit with the thornback in the evenings after his work was finished. The creatures seemed to enjoy the quiet companionship and would make soft rumbling sounds as they relaxed together. These peaceful moments reminded him that every living being, regardless of how dangerous it might appear to others, simply wanted to feel safe and cared for. The program that started with one injured thornback eventually grew into a galactic network of interspecies veterinary centers. Human doctors worked alongside alien colleagues to develop new approaches to animal care that were based on empathy rather than fear. They proved that with patience, understanding, and compassion, even the most frightening creatures could become trusted friends. And whenever new students joined the program, Dr. Hyanwu would tell them the same thing he had learned from his very first patient. The most dangerous animal is often just the most frightened animal, and sometimes all it takes to change everything is one being who is willing to say it is just afraid.